Hi everyone, and for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eileen Burns. I'm owner of Stress Coach Training. I also own the Spiritual Marketing Club, and today I'm going to talk about the orphan child, and we're going to set a I suppose view and set a look at ways the orphan child may be showing up in your life, okay, and certain ways you react to situations or people, your life, your business. And one of the things that I know, which is very, very important, is that when we're children, we pick up so many different types of beliefs, conditioning, and patterns of behaviour. And a lot of the patterns of behaviour that we carry on are actually not healthy. But at that point, they were in many ways how we survived life and how we dealt with life. So in certain ways, we took on certain patterns of behaviour because we didn't really know how to cope with situations, okay? And one of the things that we know, no matter how loving our parents are and how even healthy an environment we have, every child has certain levels of trauma and certain levels of beliefs and conditioning and heart and pain. And that goes, obviously in so many different generations. And if we think about a lot of the generations that are behind us, many of the generations behind us were really living in deeper forms of survival and fear than even many of us today. We have more awareness of life, we have more awareness of our childhood, and we are more aware of how certain types of belief systems and conditioning and patterns can actually impact us. Okay, now every single one of us have also what I believe is your unique essence, unique soul essence, unique gifts, your unique traits, and how you come into the world, okay? And that can impact how you relate to the world, okay? So for any of you who are very highly sensitive and empathic, I'm very highly sensitive and empathic, often there is certain types of behaviour patterns we can take on because we find aspects of the word. Well, if you're highly sensitive, some of you may be highly sensitive, and some of you might be empathic, some of you might be like me, and both. And when you're really highly sensitive, you're very highly sensitive to a lot of emotions, feelings, a lot of, have more what we call even sensory perception to things, okay? And the way that it's almost like the scales of difference of emotions can be a lot wider and more in depth, okay? And it means you're also sensitive to a lot of other things. So that means you can be more sensitive to things like waves, right? So a good example is like EMF waves, electronic waves, even 5G and things like that. So that means that people can get more ill or diseased by certain types of waves of energy that other people can cope with. They're more resilient just because the way that their system is designed to feel that. Now, empaths are often very similar. They have a certain level of sensitivity. They may not be some empaths are not the extreme on the sensitivity. It depends. There's different levels of everything. But empaths, again, there's different levels of empath. And if you look to the work of Dr. Elaine Aron, she talks about how many people think they're empaths, but they're not always empaths, because most of us in life have a certain level of empathy, but some of us have such a great level of empathy. And then if we have other challenges, like for me, lack of boundaries has always been a problem in relation to other people. I'm very much a personality that nurtures people, care for people, but I also can be the rescuer. And that's something that I've had to address and try and address through my life. And I've also been very much, the helper role. And even been in this sort of career, you take on the role of an aspect of the healer, but we have to be very mindful and be aware that can lead, if we have unhealthy boundaries, the empath tends to feel not just their own pain, but they feel other people's pain. They feel the energy of that pain, even when no one says anything. They just know they can feel physical pain. And for me, at times in my life, it's been very psychologically and energetically demanding on my body and my nervous system. Okay, so if we look at the orphan child and how the orphan child shows up in life and how it affects certain types of personalities, and maybe personality is not the right way, but how it can show up in all our lives. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to use Caroline Miss's card, and Caroline Miss is just show you the orphan child there. I'm not sure if that's going to, you're going to be able to see that the right way, but the orphan child, there is light attributes and shadow attributes, okay? So one of the light attributes is the orphan child is how we view an orphan child is either someone that has been orphaned, real orphanage, that they were taken away from their parents or lost their parents or something, or lost a family or whatever, or a situation where people were very much rejected or felt they did not fit into their family environment. That most people feel that to a certain degree, but there is a certain element where people feel really different from the rest of the family, okay? And some people maybe describe it as the black sheep, or they just feel that the family don't understand them, don't get them, and that they are completely different, okay? So that is one aspect of that. Now, it can also show up in people in situations where people are maybe in working environments where they are at school, high school, college, where they feel they really, either stand out or don't, they don't belong to any group, or they don't resonate with other people, okay? And I know it's interesting, I started down the healing journey about 30 years ago, and a lot of people thought I was weird because I went down that. Now, actually, there's so many people, it's becoming one of the most common things that people are coming into, and coaching and things like that. But in many ways, people viewed it as kind of really odd thing to do, and you were kind of the weirdo and sort of things like that. And some people feel like that. They feel they know that is aspects of what they're here to do, but on some level, no matter what it is, it makes them different. Some people with disabilities and illnesses, they can feel that they're orphaned in relation to society because of what's showing up. Now, what we call every archetypal, and this is what we call archetypal traits. Archetypal traits play out, and there's a light and a shadow element. So someone that has any sort of orphanage, there can be a positive aspect that they learn to be independent, and they learn to have a certain level of maturity and independence in their own ideas and beliefs, where, for those of us who don't have that out, we can get very much entangled in other people's ideologies and ideal beliefs to an unhealthy extent. And a lot of empaths, in sense of, can feel as if they're orphaned, but also because of the empathic abilities, because they are so immersed in other people's energy fields, that they can easily get confused, because they find it hard to, in a way, separate themselves from other people's energy, particularly other people with very strong personalities or dominant personalities, okay? So they can maybe feel they're not part of the crowd, but they kind of get confused by what is true for them and what is not true for them. There's something inside tells them they start their head, and the other people's beliefs and things confuses them and kind of rocks their ability to connect with the self. And it's so important that we connect with the self, okay? So the light aspect is, if you can see, it's the independence based on learning to go alone. And it's also about conquering fear of surviving, okay? Now, many people at the moment are struggling with so many levels of fear, okay? So many levels of anxiety and even stress. And one of the things that's happening in society at the moment is you know, a lot of us that come into the healing industry and coaching industry, we've had a lot of maybe extreme challenges that have happened to us, health challenges or life-threatening situations and whatever. And we, to a certain level, have faced some of our demons in that respect and faced our mortality. But a lot of people at the moment have never had to face their mortality. And that can really bring up the orphan child up, okay? And it can go both ways. It can both, the people come to terms with that, and they can, and I'm not saying you, because there's always sometimes new layers, but they can be more, you can more strong if you can realise that the separation, or that belief that there's been a separation from family, when you find that independence, sometimes you can hold your own in a more spiritual way, even though in many ways we're not separate from other people, okay? I'm not sure if I'm really explaining myself well, but there is a positive and a sort of a light and a shadow aspect. So the shadow aspect basically means that in many ways the person cannot, they are still in, there's an aspect of them still playing as a child because they feel orphaned, they feel as if they're misunderstood, they feel alone, okay? They feel as if they're not part of society or not part of certain groups or family units, or they may not even feel as if, you know, they have a deep connection to other people, so they can feel really lost and confused, okay? Now, shadow aspects show up as feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, and they seek inappropriate surrogate families. So one of the things that we see sometimes when a child's been orphaned or adopted or anything like that, who struggled with that separation, right? What they're trying to do is still get back that disconnection. So they go seeking, you know, in certain points in life, and maybe all through their life, they go seeking for other people or groups. They're almost looking for a soul family, you know, a tribe or a family connection, or other people that will heal that connection, okay? And what they're doing is, because they've not healed within themselves, they're constantly looking at the wrong groups, the wrong tribe, the wrong people, or they're going expecting to get things from other people that they need to heal and give themselves, okay? So the orphan child shows up when we are actually seeking things from other people that they can't really give us. We need to give ourselves. We need to heal ourselves, okay? Now, the orphan child can also show up with lots of different, there's lots of different archetypes, and we're very complex in many ways, so we tend to take on different things. So the orphan child may also bring in the rebel, a bit of the rebel in. So if you can imagine, the rebel can have the light and the shadow. The rebel can help, again, anyone expand their limitation and kind of see that all rules and all guidelines and all structure is not always healthy. But also the rebel can cause a lot of destruction to themselves and to others, because they are almost pushing the boundaries all the time, and they don't know when not to push the boundaries. They self-sabotage. It's like the child, you think about the child that's a rebel, right? And the child it's the rebel without a cause, right? And they almost defy everything that's going on, and they constantly, in a way, the rebel's being a victim because it creates chaos when it's in the shadow element, and it doesn't know when to pull back. The really positive and healing aspect of the rebel is that, as I said, the rebel can expand out, can help see other solutions, and can help break through a lot of belief systems and, I suppose, cultural beliefs, religious beliefs, or other things that are actually doing more damage, okay? It can help expand that. Another kind of archetype that can come in and alongside the orphan child is the wounded child. So, the wounded child comes in and the wounded child behaves, as if they're wounded and can't get out of that wounding. Now, we actually, every single one of us, take on different inner child patterns. We may not realise we do it, but we do. And you might see it play out in your own family. There's someone that might take the leader role or the ruler role. You might see someone taking more the passive role and the person that fixes everything, or you might see someone that's the mediator, okay? You might see people that are more the victim, or, constant manipulation, because they don't know. And basically the easiest way to understand is if you think you have a group of children at a party, and that's the easiest way to explain it, and all these children are trying to win a competition, right? And they've been told to get these sweeties, and all these children, it's their favourite sweeties, right? And the children, say for example, they're all hungry and they all want these sweeties, right? And this competition or this whatever, they have to find a way that they're going to win that. So they may all take on different roles. So there'll be the one that will really kind of bully their way and push their way, I'm getting this. The other one might cry, please, 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 right? You might get another one that might do something sneaky. You might do someone that'll try and get attention going, and laugh and all that to try and, so this is an example of how we don't even realise what we're doing, but we all take on certain patterns of behaviour, and often we can freeze into certain parts of behaviour. I know for me, there's a lot of times in my life where I've took a very passive role and a very victim role. I found it really hard to push myself, and at the times I've pushed myself, it's backfired on me. So for me, I'm quite a generous person, and but in that generosity, I fall into perhaps you would call it victimhood, or because what happens, I fall in the rescue. I help it and I attract. I've had, and this is something I still work on, but I can attract a lot of people that want to be rescued and do not want to take self-responsibility, right? And obviously what you've got to do is look at your own wounding with that and why you are attracting that. Often, sometimes our archetypes, even though they can say there's a mirror aspect, what you've also got to look at, there is sometimes something about our personality that the person's craving. So I attract a lot of people that are looking for that softness, but sometimes they're looking for what they think, just because you're soft, that you're daft kind of thing. So what you've got to do is you have to heal that aspect. So when you heal the orphan child, what you're doing is letting that child heal the wounding from any times in their life that they have felt orphaned. And every single person will have an aspect of the orphan, in their life, where an experience that they felt they were left out. They were left out of a school situation, a project, a family situation, whatever. They felt as if they were alone, okay, and they were all alone and kind of left, right? And the more that we can heal aspects of that, it actually helps us be much stronger in our own life. It helps empower us, it helps us move forward, and it helps us deal with a lot of the things that we're dealing with at the moment. Because the reality is, no matter if we like it or not, there is an element of, and no matter what we think it's necessary or not, there's a lot of things going on at the moment that we are being very much conditioned. And in many ways, we feel as if our power has been taken away. We feel as if we're actually in many ways giving our power away as well. And we are allowing other people to make decisions for ourselves and not tuning in to what is really right for us. As a society, we have really got, in many decades, we have lost the ability to really tune in to what we really need. We've lost a real strong sense of our intuition. We've lost a very strong sense of our own inner knowing. So we don't always check in with what foods are right for us. For example, these are the simple things. What's the best thing for me to do today? We very get stuck in the mind. We're very much engrossed in other people's what they're saying, and that comes with working environments. It comes with the way culture and society has been designed. But the reality is many of us are making decisions every single day from fear, from anxiety and stress because of the environment we're in and what we're conditioned and what we're, in many ways, if we like it or not, hypnotized. Excuse me. If you look at, excuse me, if you look at even the media does hypnotize us. If you look at the words that they use, the way that they want to present a narrative, it's like storytelling. And when you tell a story, you have to tell a story well so that it has an emotional impact. And TV and media use that very well, and they bombard us with what they want, their agenda. And it's just the same with a lot of things. I'm not going to get into about a lot of things that are going on at the moment. And the problem here is not just about what they're doing and what they're trying to manipulate, is that many people are so far away from their own inner truth, that they're themselves, they're very disconnected with what really is good for them. They're in their ego. They're not in what really their heart and soul's telling them is true, what really is going on. They place so much attention to the mind, which has been bombarded with cultural information that is, I mean, there's some people that watch, for example, the news, and certain things they'll watch 2 or 3 times a day, and they do not realise that that goes into the subconscious. I was someone that in my early 20s, I was 21, I started studying music before I got really, really sick, that I had to give everything up. But I remember and being in my studies, and they were talking about how the impact of what they can do in subliminal messages under music tracks, under audio tracks, video tracks, what can be put in. And then later on, I studied actually hypnotherapy and a bit of NLP and things like that. And you start to look into how much wording and the way things that are put across, colour, psychology. I know all about colour. I've studied colour psychology, colour therapy and colour healing. And that is another aspect. It can be used in a very positive way, and as healers we do, but also a lot of these things can be used in a destructive way. If you can heal aspects of your inner child, all sorts of elements of the inner child, right, you can help become more whole and be less, how could you say, manipulated by other people, be less manipulated by circumstances that's going on around you, and even things that you just feel's not right. You start to start having more clearer connection with yourself. You trust yourself because you're coming from a more solid footing. When we're in any sort of trap where a lot of the shadow archetypes are coming up, it basically is pulling us down, it's pulling us direction. So every sort of archetype, actually, even those that we might think are negative, can have a positive and negative in certain situations. Now, I'm someone that most people would say I'm a bit of a pussycat. I'm not exactly somewhat aggressive in any way or anything like that. But I've realised in the last year, even to do my own business and circumstances, that a lot of what we call healers and light workers who are very sensitive tend to bring in what they call the light warrior in, and own that a bit of the warrior in, to stand up and help people move forward, especially in situations that are very challenging, or the way that society has taught us to be that is not healthy. So there's that aspect. And I always kind of really kind of resisted that and kind of went, no, that's not me. I was in some groups, but the word light warrior never resonated with me. But I realised this year that I actually needed to own more of the warrior, because my feminine energy, and even things going on with my inner child, was I was taking too much the feminine and being in many ways more passive and too soft, where if you look at a business cannot survive. It has to have its yin and its yang. And physically, we need the yin and yang. And some of us struggle more with bringing in the masculine aspects than others, right? And that's an example of just where archetypes can actually support us if we use them the right way. Or we can actually look at healing certain aspects of the archetypes, or, bringing in more of what we're really here to do. Because sometimes what happens is we start getting caught in certain behaviours that are not really there are more parts of us that are just wounding that needs to be healed and needs to be addressed so that we can actually really own our gifts. And I believe that every single person that's watching this, no matter what kind of job you're doing, no matter where you are in your life, that it's more important than ever for us all to step up. And when I talk about your light, I'm not just talking about, that can sound very much like healers and light workers. I'm talking about every single person today has an important part to play in the jigsaw of life. And things are changing very dramatically in society, and things I believe are going to change even more so. And it's going to be important more than ever that people start really finding themselves, owning themselves, and owning their gifts, right? So that they can move forward in the world with more confidence. When you don't know yourself and when you don't have that inner strength and that inner purpose, it's actually you're more likely to fall into mental health issues and really be unhappy. Now, I'm someone that has never got the health thing perfect yet. I had a rare kind of very medical challenge for a young child, from infanthood. I developed a rare medical challenge, and then I had lots of weird things happened. But one of the things that I developed was a very strong self and aspects of my purpose and what I really enjoy to do, and doing jobs that I absolutely love. And that gives me so much great joy, but it also gives me great strength. Okay, so, look at your orphan child. Okay, and if you would like more help, with any aspects of your inner child, I do one-to-one sessions. Okay, I do also have some modules and courses. Feel free to connect with me to see, what would suit for you, if you would, you would like to take this much further. But be kind to yourself, okay? And when you're going to get any sort, if you're looking for someone else to do inner child work, always make sure that they have certain types of qualifications. I know I've done the counselling, the psychotherapy, I've been a healer for a long time. You can check out any of my about pages and any of my sites, and you'll get a feel for the level of qualifications I've got. One of the things that I do see people meaning well with inner child work, but they don't always use the right words, the right approaches to make sure someone is moving into the inner child work in a safe and effective way. And it's very, very important, because a lot of people don't even realise the amount of trauma that they're actually in painful memories they're carrying from the inner child. So it's really important that we address that in a certain way and in certain steps. Okay, so have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.